Join us live on the Sherry Lord Talk Show podcast. Start your day off with the Higher Vibrational Podcast with weekly guests covering spirituality, healthy foods, and so much more. Go to sherrylord.com for more info. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us on our show today. We're so excited. We have Melissa Marcum. She is a professional astrologer, and she is amazing. We can't wait to connect with her and listen and have her give us all these updates and more about how you find your purpose. This is so cool. And in the meantime, we want to give a note. Please chat with us, because when you chat, we will answer your questions. We love interacting with you. And also make sure you go to www.sherrylord.com if you want to advertise with us. We would love to market you. We're very reasonable in our prices. So again, make sure you chat, and welcome, Melissa. We're so happy to have you. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Oh my gosh. What a year, right? I mean,
it has been an interesting year. It really, really has. It has just been interesting. Really, we were talking behind the scene before we come on, and you had some very interesting things that were going on in the world and how the astrology and where we are right now. And we have retrograde right now. We're in Mercury. So yeah.
Mercury retrograde. And this retrograde is a little bit more challenging because it started off in Virgo. So I feel like everybody was really worried about things. Like, oh my gosh, and I need to do this, or can I remember this? And now where the retrograde is in Leo. So I feel like a lot of people are thinking with their ego, maybe a little bit too much. They're very egocentric. Leo does not do well with Mercury. So, yeah. So now it's actually going to be over on the 28th of this month. So I think everybody will have that, sigh of relief. We're past the retrograde. And, it's kind of one thing after another this year. I mean, it's just a lot of planets are changing signs. We have the biggest probably event of this year is Pluto is going to go into Aquarius at the end of November, and that it's going to stay in Aquarius till about 2044. So what that means is it's been in Capricorn since 2008. So Capricorn represents big business, government. So you can see all the changes that are going on with that right now, right? I mean, a lot of big changes are going on in that realm. In Aquarius, we're going to probably see a lot of things with technology. Yeah, I feel like our mass transit system is going to be all AI based, trains, the busing system, probably self-driving cars, which I know scares some people. So we're going to see these major shifts in technology, and people get a little bit worried about that. And so what I say to them is, because they're like, oh my gosh, AI is going to take over. And I say, well, think about the Industrial Revolution. A couple of times when it, in the what is it, the 1700s, and then again in the 1900s. I mean, that probably scared a lot of people back then. Yeah. So I feel like we will adapt. The human race will probably adapt to more technology. It'll just look very different. The future jobs are very, very different, but there still is always a need for human interaction. Yes, I believe. So that's what I say to people. But so a lot going on.
Absolutely. And there has been a lot. I mean, I've been going through a lot of change. I think many of us have. How can we go with the flow when Mercury hits? Especially in the times we're in now. There's so much going on right now.
Yeah, so the way Mercury works, Mercury is mind, communication, and the best thing to do during these times is don't do any big decisions. In other words, if you could avoid starting projects, don't start something during a Mercury retrograde. Now, people always ask me, oh my gosh, I have a friend that's buying a house and she's like, oh, I can't sign this contract. And I'm like, no, yes, you can, because you didn't start it in the retrograde. You started it a few months before. You know, you still have to maintain your life. But it's really a time to kind of, review, revisit, look at, what you have as far as, whatever it is in your life, and just don't make any rash decisions, because the communication could change after the retrograde is over. I definitely tell my single friends, don't really date during retrograde. I mean, meet somebody new, because he or she could be very different after the retrograde. It's like, wait, the communication was a little bit different before the retrograde. So, or during the retrograde, I should say. So just be very mindful. Give yourself for traveling extra time. Definitely could be technology issues. I've experienced several of them during this retrograde. This retrograde's been a little bit more powerful because it's 2 signs. Typically, it's usually 1 kind of dominates. So, just look at it like this. It's all, which level of thought do you feed? Are you going to feed the positive, or are you going to feed, oh my God, retrograde's coming and it's going to ruin my life? So yeah, I think I feel like this year. So how I read my chart is, I'm an evolutionary vibrational astrologer. So I really look to the lunar nodes, which are the elliptical points in the sky. They're very karmic. We come in from the south node, which is moon energy, which is past lives. And we're trying to get to the north node, which is the polarity, the opposite. So it feels very jarring on our nervous system. Like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. I fear that. But once you get there, you're actually going to get to a higher state of consciousness, and your vibration is going to be higher. But so this year, now your nodes are your nodes in your chart, in your natal chart, always. They never change. How they work in the sky is they change about every 18 months. This year we're in Leo, Aries. Libra, Aries. Aries, Libra. Libra is about partnership. Aries is about self. So it's really how to empower. I've been telling all my clients this year, step into your power. Step into your Aries. And then have balanced, harmonious relationships. But first you have to have that with yourself. So those are, I feel like, are happening this year to people. People are being challenged with trying to step into their power, or looking at their relationships. Is this working for me, or is this not? And if it's not, then hey, you're thankful for the journey with them, instead of saying, oh, I wish I never would have met them. No, you got something out of it. Even if it was a terrible experience, it was still the experience you needed for that particular time. So, that's how I kind of look at the chart. Like I was saying when we were talking, just before, I said, I'm just confirming what somebody knows about themselves inside. When they're ready to go deep, when they're ready to be self-actualized, and when they're ready to make significant changes that will affect them. And oh, by the way, it shifts everybody in their lives, because energy will flow. So that's how I look at things. Just a big snippet of what I do.
Yeah, but that's huge. I mean, people are interested, they're fascinated about astrology. And I have a friends who said it helped them in their life. It pivot pointed things with their family and their kids when they had their children. So it did help them understand their kids before, while they were babies, like this is where they are. This is what's going to be their characters, or what was happening to them, or pivotal points in their own life. And a lot of them said they were right on the nose for them.
Yeah, the chart. I mean, and I've been studying the chart like professionally for about 3.5 years. I've always been into it since I'm a kid. It doesn't lie. Even if you say, I'm going to look at this different. It's really hard for any spiritual person, whatever they practice, whatever modality they do, to be self-actualized with themselves, right? Because you can look at things and maybe see things that aren't there.
Yeah.
But the more that I look at it and the more that I study it, because I'm in the chart every day, is, oh no, that was supposed to, you are where you're supposed to be. That was supposed to happen. And it's all for you to get on a higher state of consciousness. And usually it's the hardest lessons that are the most, that bring you to your knees, where you want to make significant changes, because we all work in some sort of pattern, but if we're too much in that pattern, we bring the same situations into our lives with the same cast of characters. Yeah. And we never really get out of that state, because it's like, oh, okay, even though this is really bad for me, this is the energy I know. It's like that whole thing between the empath and the narcissist, right? Why the empath always attracts the narcissist, why the narcissist always feeds off the empath. It's not a healthy relationship, but it's what you know. So I think it's really and it goes even deeper. It's like, okay, I have responsibility in this because I'm allowing this to happen to me. So that's how, and I tell all my clients, you're manifesting the chart. Mm-hmm. It's not, hey, I'm the magic oracle and I'm going to give you the reading today and you're going to, no, it doesn't work that way. It's you're manifesting whatever it is that, you came here to do. Like we discussed in the pre-show, it's really about coming to earth and releasing the attachments. Yeah. Because the attachments are the soul contract that you came here to do. And being real with that too. Yeah. Say, okay, I have responsibility in this. And this is where I need to do the work and take it to the next level. So a lot of information there.
Yeah, being accountable is very, very important for yourself. And it's easy to blame, and it's really not about blame. You can change any situation you want if you choose to, you have the power to do that. Yeah. What about, people, what do you tell people who are looking for a partner? What do they usually come to you for with that? Do you give them insights on that about
yeah.
And then you got Aries, you got all these other astrology signs,
Yeah. So usually for men, it's where their Venus is. That could tell me. And then so you look at the sign it's in, the sign that Venus is in.
Okay.
The house it's in, how it's aspected, meaning if it's hard aspects, there's some karma there, there's something that they're doing, or they're attracting, or if it's, softly aspected, what's easy about it. And for women, I look to Mars. Mars it's going to tell me, the masculinity of somebody, of the man, woman, whatever, that they're looking for. So it really depends. And for example, I have in my chart, my Venus is conjuncting Saturn. So that could be difficult because Saturn's always about lessons, so I pretty much can tell you that every one of my relationships, romantic relationships, there was always a lesson in there. And Saturn always makes things real. So, again, for an astrology chart is like DNA.
Okay.
Unique to that individual. Even twins who were born 3 minutes apart have a completely different chart. So they have a lot of commonalities, but there's two different souls there. So it's like each of the lessons are going to be very different. And when you talk to twins, I've talked to twins. I have twins as my clients, and they're very different. So yeah, that's how the chart works. So that's how it works for people. And I feel like people, when they know when they're attracting the same type of person and when it's not working out for them. But sometimes they need the lessons until they have that aha moment, like, I'm done with this. I don't want to keep attracting this anymore. So what do I have to do to change me to go in a different cycle, a different, context of who I am?
Yeah. Wow. So when people get their lessons and their relationships can change if they want a partner down the road. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. When you change you, everything shifts. You're going to bring in different people, different energy.
Yeah.
Because it's about loving yourself. So, for example, with the empath, if the empath doesn't love themselves and is always giving it to others, then that's where the narcissist will take from them. And then there's nothing left for them, So it really is loving yourself on a very high vibration. And that personally took me a long time to figure out, because it was like, oh yeah, I love myself. But no, I got to go inward. I can't go. It's not the mind. It's really the heart, and that's where I think major shifts can happen. I always tell people that have a lot of air in their chart.
Mm-hmm.
So if they have a lot of air in their chart, the first thing I'm asking is, are you in your mind? Like, yeah, all the time. I can't sleep. I'm just always thinking. The air signs are Gemini,
Oh, wow.
Aquarius,
Wow.
and Libra.
Wow.
So if you have a lot of those signs in your chart, and depending on where they are, it can be really hard for those people. They can just be in that thinking aspect all the time. And we're going into, with Pluto going into Aquarius, it's going to be a lot of great minds. People are going to be in their minds a lot, thinking. It's not like Capricorn. Capricorn was how to make money, how to, it's going to be, you're going to see a big shift into, and the thing about Pluto is a generational planet.
Yeah.
So it takes Pluto transitly. And when I say transit, I mean the transiting planets that hit your natal chart. It stays in a house about 15 to 20 years.
Wow.
So when it goes in to a house, it's very different when it comes out, because Pluto is death, destruction, and then transformation.
Oh, wow.
It has to kind of get rid of everything that's kind of seedy and not working out in that particular situation, and then transform it. So that's why when I look at Pluto, where it is in the chart, for example, in my chart, it's in my second house, which is self-worth, money.
Oh, wow.
So I've really had to transform in those areas. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Wow.
And the chart, I would say, being an astrologer too, it never gets boring. Like, okay, here it is, because there's always ways to look at the chart.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe there's things can change because you change. So if you do a reading for somebody, say maybe 5 years ago, and you see them again and they're totally shifted, you have a different reading at that point?
Yeah. So how it works is I do a natal chart reading. The first, my clients when I first see somebody, I'm going to read their natal chart. Yeah. Because typically I can only do that once, because it's like, once they know their lessons, they know what's keeping them from living their best life, they got it. So, but every year I do a solar return reading. And that is the planets align in different houses, different signs. Aspecting means, how they're interacting with each other in different ways. So
Right.
every year they come back for a solar return reading. Or let's say if they're like they want to live in a different place, or they're called to do something else. Hey, is this area good for me
Yeah.
according to the chart? That's an astrocartography chart. So, or hey, I just need help. I'm just feeling really bad. I'm going through some major stuff. When is it going to get better? Or when can I feel like, okay, this is, I'm ready to make this significant change. So
Exactly.
I do everything by the chart, everything. I'm sort of launching something during a retrograde, and I'm like, okay. But I'm launching my new website coming out
Oh,
on,
wow.
yeah, September 2nd. I'm launching it right on a new moon in Virgo. And that's what I suggest to people, to look at these cycles of
Okay.
when things can happen. Remember, I said don't start anything during a Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
Same thing during a Venus retrograde. I wouldn't really be wanting to get married during a Venus retrograde. I really wouldn't want to be necessarily looking for a partner around that time. Everything's in cycles.
Oh, wow.
So you want to pick the energy that works best for what you're trying to accomplish within that cycle, if that all makes sense. And you can do it. I really want to help people that work in corporate America. My new the way that I'm focusing is really on a business perspective, because I think it's, you have your own chart, and then you can have, like, let's say you're an entrepreneur, you can have a business chart. Or let's work and see, are you fulfilled with your career? What do you want? I mean, because your career encompasses so much of your life at
Yeah.
a particular age. So, but the chart is always there for all of these things, so
What if you don't have a birthday? Some people did not some report some not birthday but birth time. Some
yeah.
people don't have a birth time because they didn't record them at a certain time. How do you do that for people?
So a couple of ways. There's something called a retrofixation chart, but I'm going to actually take a course on how to do that. But here's
Okay.
even one better than that. Is I tell my clients what number and time feels right to you. Like these are things that you could ask your higher self, your guides,
Mhm.
whatever you feel comfortable doing. And I actually did this with one of she was taking some of my classes, and she's a client, and she couldn't get her time because the records were sealed. She was
Yeah.
adopted. They would not let her even open her own
Yeah.
records, which is crazy to me. And she's like, I really feel this time is, it's something that it's almost like pulling this information out of your Akashic records
Mhm.
and being able to go in and do it, you know and it does work. It might take you a little bit more time to do this, but I feel like soulfully we can find out anything we want about our past lives, who we are, if we're willing to put ourselves in that state of consciousness of receiving.
Do
So
you do you have to have the time for your chart to be done, or can you do a chart without the time and just the date?
I mean, I can, but the time makes all the difference in the world, because the planets can shift every
Mhm.
2 minutes, depending on what degrees that they're in. And
Right.
it can be very much an AM chart versus a PM chart can be completely different.
Hmm.
So,
Interesting. Yeah.
um, yeah, but I feel like the number is in all of us if we want to get it.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely. There's so much happening in the world. So how can you help people understand There's a lot of chaos going on, and there's not all chaos. There's some good things happening too. What is happening in the world with the shifts with the planet?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that's happening in America is we went through our first Pluto return. Now, other countries that have been around for thousands of years had many of them, but the United States. So in 2022, it takes Pluto 248 years to go around the sun.
Oh
So
wow.
think about that. 248 years ago, 1776 time frame, we were in there was a lot of major infighting
Yeah.
within the colonies and within everything that was going on back then. And I feel like the same energy is coming out now. So we're going to see some huge shifts in government,
Okay.
in belief systems. And again, I look to Pluto because wherever Pluto is in somebody's chart, it means something very different. So
Oh,
we're
okay.
seeing a whole generation of people. We're seeing the millennials, for example, that have Pluto and Scorpio. It's all about transforming. They're not going to do things like their parents did them.
Yeah.
They're not doing, and then
Different.
you have Gen Zers behind them. Guess where their Pluto is? In Sagittarius, because it's going around the chart. They're changing the belief systems. We're seeing this, right? It's not just about marriage between men and women. It's not even about marriage. It's about being who you are.
Yeah.
It's a non-gender aspect of everything. So it's really changing, and it's hitting America quite tough, and I think that's why people are very angry because they don't know what's going on. But
Yeah.
but if you're spiritual and you go in deep and understand, because astrology will explain all of this,
Exactly.
then you can say, okay, wait a minute, we're shifting. The earth is It was in Pisces for about 2,500 years, and now it's moving into Aquarius. It's a whole different world in Aquarius. It's a collective energy.
Mhm.
It's not this hierarchy energy
Yeah.
that Pisces was. Pisces, when it started 2,500 years ago, it was Christ consciousness, Christ coming
Yeah.
down and uplifting the planet. The opposite of that is religious fanaticism. So you have all of these energies coming at you, and I think it's important for people to be grounded
Yeah.
and to understand themselves spiritually, and to really connect to the soul purpose.
Exactly. And also, you have some retreats coming up. You're doing a retreat. We
I
would talk
am.
about that.
I want to do a retreat. It's in March 19th, 26th. It's going to be in the UK. It's going to be the spring solstice in Stonehenge, which is
Oh,
really huge. So, spring solstice is big because it's about new beginnings. It's about starting something new. It's about understanding yourself and being like, okay, here's the direction that I want to go.
yep.
So it's a mix. We're going to do astrology. We're going to do a lot of soul purpose. We're going to do a lot of, the attendees getting to really understand each other from a soul aspect. And again, you're going to have all that wonderful energy of Stonehenge.
Oh,
So
that's exciting. And how can people get a hold of you? How can they get a hold of you if they want a reading, an astrology reading, or if they want to go to your retreat? How can they get a hold of you?
so just reach out to me, Melissa Marcum, at mmastroVibes.com. And I'm all over social media, Instagram, Facebook. I have a Facebook page, and they can direct message me, and I can give them more information about it. And it's an all-inclusive retreat. So it
Oh,
includes the airfare, it includes the hotel, it includes the excursions, the rides to and from places. So it's, hey, we just want you to come and not worry about anything like that.
wow.
We want to take care of you while you're there.
Oh, that's amazing. That is awesome. And you, as always, we love having you on our show. And if you need more information too, and if you didn't capture everything, you can go to www.sherrylord.com and we will have her information there. And we'll have a link or something where you can click on for her retreats. If you're interested, I think you're going to love it. It's a wonderful, deep spiritual transformation. I think you all will just enjoy it. And also get an astrology reading by her. She's amazing. And as always, Melissa, we love having you on our show. And we just bless you on your journey. And we will have you back. And we just want to thank everybody for watching us and blessing you with lots of love, light, and prosperity. Blessing all with good health. Bye-bye.
So much, Sherry.